Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to this new video all about the Jewish law, Halakah. My name is Mr. Wood, and this is the first of a series of video sessions all about Judaism. We're looking at it from an AQA GCSE perspective. If you haven't seen it yet, I've already got a whole playlist on beliefs, and this is going to be the one on practices. And so what we're looking at today is the Jewish law. And what do you need to know? You need to know that the Jewish law, Halakah, it guides Jews in all areas of their lives. And much of this law is recorded in the Torah and it's interpreted in the Talmud. So how do you make decisions? It might be that you look to your conscience, or maybe you ask friends, family members for advice. Maybe you Google things online before you buy things or try things. What is it? Where do you go to make your decisions? Now, in Judaism, there's a really important concept called Halakah, which roughly translates as the Jewish law, the law. But actually, when you look at the root of the word, it's far similar to the path that one walks or the way to go. And it's really helpful to consider this when we start these series of lessons on Jewish practices, that actually in Judaism, it's not just about worshipping God, and although that's the thing that underpins everything else, but actually the Jewish law applies to a whole way of life. Halakah shows Jews, what they can eat, what they can wear, the jobs they can do, how they should relate to others, what their roles are in the family, how they keep themselves clean. It's all encompassing, and it applies to every single aspect of life. So when Jews are making decisions, they want to know what Halakah says. They want to know effectively, what does God require of them in their life? And of course, it also shows them how they should relate to God too. Now, you would have seen, I hope, a previous lesson, and I'll put a link just there for you to go back and have a look at this, all about the mitzvot. Now, when we look at the covenants in Judaism, which are incredibly important, the key covenant you need to know for your GCSE, as well as the covenant with Abraham, is a covenant with Moses. And the covenant with Moses, it shows that God will give the Jew, he'll be their God, and he'll give the Jews freedom. And in response, they're going to follow the mitzvot. They're going to follow the commandments that he has given them. And as we studied, when we looked at the mitzvot, we saw that they apply to every single aspect of life. Now, there's more to Halakah than just the mitzvot. There's more to the law than just the commandments. And we're going to have a look now at where that's recorded, where Jews get that from, and how it's been updated and rediscussed and discussed and debated over the years. Well, one of the key sources of Halakah, one of the main places you'll find the Jewish law, is in the Tanakh. Now, the Tanakh, as we've discussed again in the first lesson we ever did on Judaism, is the Hebrew scriptures. It's the Jewish scriptures. It's 39 different books collected together, and it can be divided into three key parts. The first part of the Tanakh, and it's an acronym, is the Torah. The first 5 books of law given to Moses by God, literally the word of God given to Moses that he recorded and wrote down. That's the first 5 books of the law. You then get the Nevi'im, and this is the books of the prophets, people like Isaiah and Jeremiah, and it includes all the historical writing about the people of Israel and their relationship with God and their relationship with each other. And then there's the writings, and this includes some prophets like Daniel, but also includes some of the poetry books like the Song of Solomon and the book of Psalms and Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Now, these are all really important to Jews, especially the Torah, which if they're going to synagogue regularly, they'll hear the whole thing in a year, and they'll be studying it and discussing it often at home and in the synagogue. Now, the Torah means instruction, and it's timeless, i.e., God has given it to Jews, and it applies no matter where they are, what they're doing, what context they find them in, even hundreds and thousands of years later. However, Jews believe that Torah, that instruction, needs to be understood and then applied. And that's where the Talmud comes in. Now, the Talmud means to study. And the Talmud is a collection of writings that are all about study and discussion of Halakah, of the original instructions from God. Over on the right hand side of the screen here, we've got a page taken from the Talmud, and I'm just going to label a few parts of it now to help you understand what it is and how it's used. So just at the top here, you've got the title. And that's just so when you're going through it, you can work out what this topic's about. Now, you can do a page a day, and it takes about 7.5 years. And what's fantastic is that you'll know all around the world when you're studying that page on that topic, loads and hundreds of thousands of different Jews will be doing exactly the same thing that day as you and considering the same law. Now, this page here is all about what time the evening Shema should be recited. So you've got your title there, and again on this top left here, you've got some references. And these are to go back to the original Torah references to find out what's said about it and where. And then what we've got in the middle, this is the part of the key part here, is what's called the Mishnah. Now, Jews have discussed Halakah since the beginning of Judaism. So God gave the law, and then there have been really important discussions that have gone alongside it about how it should be understood and applied. And this is called the oral tradition, or the oral law. Now, this around the year 200 CE, it was decided this should be written down. And what happened was a summary of the discussions were recorded, and that's known as the Mishnah. And that's this pink section here that's color coded on the right hand side. Now, it didn't end there. You see, after that, sometime later, more discussions were had about the Mishnah and about the original instruction. And this is called the Gemara. And it didn't end there. You see, what you have around the outside now of the page are a whole bunch of different commentaries by different rabbis at different times, taking those original instructions from God and trying to interpret them and apply them to the context that the Jews found them in. Now, the Talmud is a fantastic thing to study. And what Jews can do with it, they can say, what did God say then? What does it mean for me today? And what does God require of me in my life? And that's why the Talmud's a really, really important document. Now, thinking about the importance of it, got a couple of quotes here from a couple of rabbis who've spoken about the Talmud. The first one's from Rabbi Dov Linzer, and he says this: the Talmud is really about a conversation, and the conversation never ends. And you can see that with the way it's laid out, that it's discussions and then discussions about discussion. And for Jews today, they're getting involved in that discussion themselves. They're reading what others have had to say, and then they're doing some interpretation and application for themselves. And then you've got a great quote here from Rabbi Adin Even Israel Steinsaltz, who says that the Talmud is the central pillar of Jewish knowledge, important for the overall understanding of what is Jewish. He's talked in other places about the Torah being the cornerstone, but the Talmud being the central pillar. And it's about getting a complete and full understanding of Judaism, and in your context, in your time, understanding what it means for you. So let's pause here and have a go at some of these questions. When you're ready for the answers, just hit play and we'll go through those. So let's check our understanding and look at some answers. So what does Halakah mean? It means the law, or literally the path that one treads. What is the Tanakh? The Tanakh is the Jewish Bible. It's the collection of Jewish books. Its parts are the Torah, the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim. Why do many Jews consider the Torah to be the most important part? Well, it was given directly to Moses by God. It's literally the word of God. What does the Talmud mean? Talmud means to study. And why is it important? It's important because it helps Jews understand, interpret and apply the law of God, the instructions from God. It allows them to understand Halakah and then apply it to their own lives. And how is it like joining a conversation? It's like joining a conversation because it's discussions that have been going on for centuries and centuries. And today you can bring your own interpretation and your own thoughts, see what others have said, and then understand it for your own setting. You will know if you've watched the other videos and you're up to date with these that there are lots of different groups of Jews. In these videos we focus primarily on Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews. Now when we're thinking about Halakah, the law, the way to go, this is important for Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews, but potentially in different ways. Orthodox Jews will be more likely to go back to the origins and focus on what was said at the time and do those things literally as much as possible in their day-to-day lives today. Whereas Reform Jews will be more likely to adapt the original laws and then apply those to their lives today. So they might not take the mitzvot as literally. They might not do some of the rules they may seem as irrelevant to them today in their culture, but they would believe that they are following God's path for them today. They are following Halakah for them in their setting today. And so that is the end of this lesson. So what do you need to know? Let's revisit it one final time. You need to know the Jewish law, Halakah, guides Jews in all areas of their life. And much of this law is recorded in the Torah and it's interpreted in the Talmud. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.